is a perfect time to really share some of the insights that we have that's been pressed on our hearts.
And I think it's something that once you grab a hold of it, that it's something that's going to be life-changing.
That gets planted and it just starts to grow. And then we start developing patterns of behavior to just to cover our hearts. Hi there.
Hey there. Welcome back. So in the previous video, we kind of started talking about the whole concept of a hard heart. But now we kind of want to dig in a little bit more deeper and just really talk. What exactly is a hard heart? As you've kind of pondered this for a really long time, because obviously, you know, the genesis kind of started with you. How would you describe a hard heart?
So interestingly, I actually think the people that have struck me that have hard hearts are actually some of the nicest.
Okay, so someone who's nice. Mm-hmm.
Some of the sweetest, mm-hmm. kindest, I don't want to say gentle, but people who have like a proclivity to sweetness.
Okay.
And there might be a reason for this in terms of, you know, Satan going after particular people. Mm-hmm. So for me, like if I'm looking at if I'm visualizing people that I have in mind, I would say that they are actually really nice and generous and sweet and giving.
They're really nice, sweet
people in my sphere. So
right.
This is just like the people that I'm thinking of. Mm-hmm. But I think that they end up being targets mm-hmm. for some trauma and pain and mm-hmm. wounds mm-hmm. that now toughen them mm-hmm. in that area. And maybe it's because they're really sensitive, sweet people.
So I think that makes sense. But if we can be even more clear, mm-hmm. I think how I would describe a hard heart is someone who has aspects of themselves that are just hard. Let me further explain. Well, aspects, almost like this. Eventually, I'm going to give a great example. But in times when maybe you should show up a little bit more syrupy sweet, you come out. It's like concrete comes out. Mm. There's roughness that comes out.
Okay.
In a time when, the reaction should be maybe different, or maybe it's justified. You're upset or whatever, But then how it comes out, it's just hard. It's rough. It's ice cold. I'm gonna ice you out. It's silent treatment. I'm not gonna talk to you. I won't talk to you for a year. Oh, what, you did this? Okay, let's see. I'm not gonna talk to you. And just being able to completely shut your emotions and your emotional system down to a negative, like ice cold. Is that even a term? Mm-hmm. Like just icing you out. I feel like that's kind of what it is. And so a lot of times we're seeing it, and especially with our friend circles, typically we're talking about Black women, are just having this really rough and hard situation.
Exterior.
Yes, I'll tell you 2 examples that happened to me. One time I was with a close friend of mine, and we happened to be at a beauty supply store, and we were exiting, and there was a lady there who, I don't know what her son had did in the store, but she was like, first of all, she was speaking Haitian Creole. I don't speak Haitian Creole. And don't you know, F you up. This is now to a child. And she said it with so much force that my friend and I looked at each other and we went, whoa. Second time happened, Walmart. Same situation. I don't know what the child had done, but this lady basically, I think she actually just straight up cussed the child out. And then later on, it was a funny story. These things, this is just a quick tangent. These things used to happen to me a lot. And then I just decided I actually am going to start confronting it because it bothers my spirit. So later on, I didn't want to confront her at that moment because I think I got a little scared, to be honest. But then I was like, oh no, I don't want none of this heat. But then later on, I saw her in the car park and I'm like, oh gosh, here you go, Most High. You've given me another opportunity. And so now I'm like, I have to. So she was loading up her car and I just, excuse me, ma'am, I just want to let you know that, when I saw you talking to your child like that, I think you should, try to be a little bit more gentle. I can't remember what I said to her and she did not receive it well, which happens if you choose to do this type of thing. People sometimes will not receive it well and you have to be prepared for that. And she said, oh, no, you don't know. My child's not going to be in the system. You ain't going to tell me how to raise my child. My child's not going to be in the system. So I guess for her, she's thinking that she's going to talk to her child roughly so her child
That's fascinating.
doesn't get into the system. But when I was thinking about it, I'm like, but you talk to your child like he was a grown man. And almost like a grown man, romantic grown. Like how she talked to her child was completely inappropriate to me. And I just didn't appreciate the cuss words. She just came out so hard and in public.
So she loves her child. She loves her child so much. She doesn't want to see this child end up locked up.
In the system.
And so we're denying the child.
We're denying
love.
Okay, I got that now. We're denying the child love. Mercy.
But she loves that child so much.
So much so, but then she doesn't know that now the child is probably going to go and start acting out because the child didn't feel loved by the mom. Because the mom, all they received from the mom was toughness.
Was like there's wounds. Because
yes.
now the child is, these are wounds each time you're like,
right. You don't have a chance to be tender.
And to receive the tenderness of a mommy.
So then another time I'll share, because again, I think sometimes you need the examples. I was reading, I think it was the life of Frederick Douglass. I was trying to give it to my son to read for school. And I just started perusing the pages and I was just reading some of his stories that he had in his life and these horrible experiences that he had as a young boy, as a slave. And my heart broke. And in that moment, it just hit me. Because we had been talking about this for a while. The whole idea of tenderness. We, if not for us, like maybe we don't get it, but just even for the previous generations that didn't have the capacity to receive this because the situation of slavery, the situation of civil rights, the situation of whatever it was so harsh, we must find a way, dig deep, to pull out some tenderness, to pull out some sweetness, to pull out some goodness, and to share that with each other and especially with our children. Because it can't be that our when going back to slavery, because of the situation that it was, that was harshness by design. But now on the backhand of it, we also can't just be harsh. That might be how we came up because of it and we had to toughen up and what have you. But now we need to find something deeper, to a deeper well where we can now come out and have some sweetness to share. We need sweetness with all the harshness that we're receiving as Black people, from the governments and everything that we need to be able to share sweetness.
Sweetness with your loved ones.
Yes, a man and a wife should be able to share sweetness with each other. Not what we ain't not all this arguing. No. I'm not saying you can't argue or have disagreements, but we need to be able to dig deep and find a different way to interact. We have to, because the way that we're doing it right now is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. So we've kind of already talked about some of these things. So I guess hopefully in that way, I'm trying to describe, okay, what exactly is a hard heart? A hard heart is that place where you reach concrete instead of reaching flesh. There's something that happens instead of receiving a fleshly, that's not or whatever. There's a concrete. There's no reaction, just like like dead. Like it's actually really challenging to explain it. But I think the more we talk about it, I think you're going to be able to have a chance to be like, okay, I think I understand what you're saying. And so we kind of want to move on and just say, well, how do you think we got here? I think I've already mentioned a number of things. I've mentioned, history of slavery, of, just injustice. I think that's typically, happened. She mentioned trauma in the earlier videos, I definitely think the trauma hardens us. These horrible experiences that are happening to children are hardening us. What else? Are there anything else that you think that you might think about?
Well, just on slavery, it's like the breakup of the Black family. Oftentimes, either fathers or husbands not being around, imprisonment, all of that. You know, being alone and having to raise the family
and shoulder all of that by yourself, and you got to square up to be able to do these things, right? And I get that, right? It's not like you can have the ability
sometimes
to
women
be
are like, oh, I should be getting a card on Mother's Day and Father's Day because I'm both, that kind of, which I think is also a reflection of the heart as well.
Right.
You know, but the reality is you are doing it by yourself, and so now having to take on that masculinity when we're feminine.
And I think, first of all, there's some resentment that's there, but it's right. When you do have to take that on, it changes who we are. Yeah. So we're not allowed to now be soft and in our quote unquote soft.
Because how are we going to get through life? How are we going to get through life if I got to be mommy and daddy?
Yeah, we can't get through and pulling all these things with. Not to say that all women cry, but coming from a place of softness and tears. If you've got to navigate a tough world, it's almost like you're not allowed to have these reactions and these emotions.
How can you cry? You got to take care of your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of thinking about like our mom.
Yeah.
Like she had so much on her shoulders. There are so many Black women who just have so much on their shoulders. You got to get through the day. You've got kids to feed. You've got bills to pay. You've got a mortgage. You've got foreclosures. You've got all kinds of stuff that's happening, and you're trying to survive.
Completely makes sense.
And so that energy, it's by design. Let me force you out of your femininity.
Did you hear what she just said? That's exactly, the enemy sets us up in these situations. So now you're being forced out of femininity into masculinity. And now that you're in masculinity, it's difficult to come out. We had talked about this from before, that sometimes when you get to a place where now, you have a coping mechanism, right? It's working for you. You're in struggle mode. But unfortunately, sometimes even after the struggle has ended, you forget to reset yourself. Factory reset. You don't do that. So now you are stuck in struggle mode for years. And struggle mode only has certain responses. It just has one mode, two modes. It boom. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
And sometimes I think when you get in that mode, when you're used to having to do all of this stuff by yourself and no one to lean on, or you've asked and every time it's no, every time it's like you realize, oh no, I'm in this by myself.
I might as well just do it by myself.
I'm in this by myself.
Right.
I've realized sometimes, like with friends, it's like, if I can say, oh, well, why don't you just call so-and-so? This person will help you. It's like, no, I don't want to ask. And I realized the reason why people stop wanting to ask is actually, it's all about the heart. Your heart.
Are they tired of rejection? Or?
Yeah, it's a rejection thing. It's because I used to ask, and I used to ask, and it was always no. So I can't even ask. Even someone who actually has the ability to help and somebody who is supposed to, this is actually that person's role. It's their role to actually say yes to these kinds of things. And yet you won't ask because of that fear of rejection, which is still going back to the heart. So now it's like, no, I got to be tough. It's like, but wait, you ain't got no lights. What's going on here? We got to do something. How are we going to fix this? Let's call so-and-so. Let's consult. No.
And I think then what also happens, the enemy is so crafty. Then also what happens is then maybe pride now enters the conversation. And pride, I think, is a spirit. So now pride enters the conversation. Well, I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to. So now you stuck like Chuck. And you're stuck in a place that is just not going to help you. It's not going to help you move the needle. It's not going to help you do anything. It's just going to help you get stuck and get further entrenched in your bitterness and your hardness and, and everything else that comes with it.
And it's really sad, though, because it actually just started from a wound. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And obviously these wounds can be different wounds.
Yeah.
Some of the wounds can be, at least when we put on our glasses, some are more serious than others. And then I think what it does, it just festers. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And again, think about just something that's infected and just getting gross and pussy and just bleh, and spreading. I think eventually it's spreading. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
So what gets us here to this hard heart? We've talked about a lot of history. There's some issues of injustice. There's slavery. So this historical thing that I think now, this lady wrote an interesting book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. I haven't finished reading the book. I think I read like a few pages and I personally was mentally done. Like, it was really hard, but I think it's a worthwhile book if people are looking into more, trying to understand exactly. I do think that there's something, and this is just me, I think there's something about that is passed down generationally. And I think this is what she's sharing. And I think it's true, because I think there's something there. It's almost like a shared trauma that's now continually passed. So the trauma that happened during slave time is still being experienced right now, just because we are descendants, you know, or they're descendants of slavery. Does that make sense? And these past traumatic things. And so,
isn't that kind of interesting? This trauma that now is coming by way of Satan is going generationally.
It's fascinating.
It's a trauma to the heart that is generation. Well, it was to the body and the heart and the spirit, but now it's like, now the trauma is not to the body anymore, but it's still impacting your heart, your soul, your spirit.
Well, it could be. Okay, yeah.
But that can eventually impact the body.
Right. True. And then so there's the trauma, and then there's all these I keep on trying to say historicities. That's not a word. These historical injustices that can kind of lead us here. And then obviously some of these things lead to the breakup of the home, women feeling like they're carrying it by themselves. And then we also must add, not just to focus completely on Black women, but so now you have women holding it on their own. And then what do we do now? Now when the Black man shows up, there's animosity. So when you come and who knows, maybe you come in good faith, maybe you don't. But now when you show up, you're going to get a cold shoulder. You're going to get an attitude. You're going to get, because it's been tough out here in these streets. Do you understand? And now I think that also now has further, basically poured gasoline on, the issues between the Black man and the Black woman, only making it harder. So now we have we took his jacket, we done put on his masculine jacket, and we can't give it back. And that's going to be the work. Take that jacket off. Give it back. It's not serving you anymore. It's actually disserving you right now. I think now we have to get to a place where we are now taking care of ourselves in an emotional way and let the Most High handle everything else. Go ahead and get that jacket out the closet. The one that says feminine on the back, put that on. That's what you're going to need right now. The other jacket is not serving you. It's not helpful, because guess what? We are women at the end of the day. We are not men. Even though life circumstances has forced us to try to have to put on,
that's where I'm
our big girl panties or whatever, however we want to say it.
Yeah.
We still have to rest in the fact that we are women. We operate in a different way. We do not operate like men, because we are not men. If we were meant to be men, God would have made us men. We are women. We need to be able to operate as women. Anything else, we are counterfeits, and we're not being true to ourselves. We can't show up the way that we need to show up because we're showing up as a man. And I heard someone say this recently, and I don't know how true it is, but it sounded true, so I'm going to share it. The whole idea is that men are just the way that they have their what do you call it? Not pheromones, but when they have their hormones. The hormones that men have give them the ability to deal with stress better than we can. So with us and all of the estrogen or whatever else we got going on, we just can't deal with stress the same way that a man does. We just really can't, and I think we just need to understand that, and that needs to be okay. So I think that that's just something that we're just going to be mindful of. Put on your feminine jacket, give back the male jacket, so we can move to a place of getting into real healing and getting into being able to see the goodness of the Most High in the land of the living. There's so much stuff that we've been struggling with. We're carrying so much stuff on our backs. Now is the time for us to sit here and see the goodness of the Most High. Amen. Today. Not tomorrow, but today. Today. So anyways, with that, I guess we'll leave it at this one. We'll leave it here for this video, and we'll come back and join you with the next part.